Welcome to episode 6 of Musings by Daeryun. No, I'm not going out to rob a bank, but I'm in my Leon-esque getup. And instead of being holed up inside, I thought I'd take you out and show you and talk about the National Museum of Korea. See you there. And if I swing back, you can see the gazebo. And to give you some history of the museum, it used to be in Gwanghwamun before they tore it down in the 90s. And that was President Yongsan who did it, because it was a remnant of the colonial occupation by Japan of Korea. And so they tore it down. It was a very large building that had been used before by the Korean government. And it was called Chungangcheong. And they tore it down. And the legend had it that there were some bad karma. And so in terms of the feng shui, or 풍수지리 as we call it, they had to get rid of it. And so they moved everything from that museum to this massive new structure here in Yongsan, which is very close to where I live. Before we enter, I just wanted to show you all these shots of the gazebo, which is beautiful all year round. And my favorite is this homage to none other than the movie Gladiator. Okay, so again, this is a landscape shot of this very large building, and it's free. So a lot of the exhibits here for those who are thinking about coming to Korea. Of course, a lot of sites you have to pay, but a very important one here, you don't. So let's go inside. Now inside, coming inside, you can see almost every day you have tons of people. A lot of foreigners, obviously, but even Koreans. So even people who live in Seoul, they come. And one fact for the non-Koreans, it's very close to the HQ for HYBE, which is the entertainment agency that houses, you guessed it, BTS. So it's within walking distance. So it can kill two birds with one stone by going to both. Now this building. It houses not just a Korean collection, but as you can see here, it says Mesopotamia, which I talked about actually in my first movie called I Profess. When President Biden visited Korea and had his first meeting with President Yoon. This is one of the monuments that he marveled at. And you see some of the facts here. A lot of collections are donated by people. And this is a gift from Mr. Ha Gun-jong. This is the wall for all the people who have donated their personal collection to the museum. And I would think that there would be more. And it's part of the patrimony of Korea. And I think if you go to a country like Spain, some of these patrimonial collections are kept at home, but actually belongs to the country. And there's always a controversy about who actually owns them. And I think that is something that every country has to grapple with. And the shorter histories, I think, of some countries with the patrimonial system, such as is true with Korea. I think that's something that has to be resolved. And I think, in a way, more people have to come forward, and if they have them at home, ultimately, maybe at least have it displayed so that everyone can share. And not only local residents, but those from abroad, and appreciate the history and the artistry of these works. So, walking into the donated collection, you can see that there's a lot of use of technology, such as the robot to guide visitors. The children love it, and you have various menus for what you want it to do. We also have a lot of use of augmented display, such as this one, which shows changes of the season, also changes of a different landscape to give the different displays a better feel. What's remarkable about a lot of these donated pieces are that some of them are actually quite old. So these may be more recent. But, for example, we're all familiar with the Shilla dynasty, which was in Korea over 600 years back. So to think that this was in a personal collection is absolutely mind-boggling. But thankfully, people have displayed them so that they can share with not only Koreans, but people from all over the world marvel of these pieces. Of course, Asia is very famous for its porcelain, and so we see again various collections, apparently all donated, and some of them are very old, such as this one. And again, we see how the augmented reality of that furnace baking the ceramics give it a nice feel. And the lighting helps as well for displaying these works. They often highlight some of the donators or the family or the descendants, such as from this man, Mr. Park Byung-ne, and he protected Korean artwork during the Japanese colonial period and was able to preserve in Korean hands over 400 pieces, which now belong to the donation collection. This is from the 36 Berlin Olympics, where Song Gi-jung won his gold medal, and that was a helmet. And he won it for Korea, even though he ran wearing a Japanese uniform. Okay, so this is a study for sharing. And a study, of course, has various meetings, and in this case, it means a room. And that's what people can do. They can just come in, and it's a lounge where they can read. You don't see many people talking. One can talk quietly, of course. So that encourages sharing. And sharing is a concept here, and you can listen to tapes in various languages to share that information. Okay, this is my favorite part of the museum. It's called a room of quiet contemplation. So I will be very quiet when I go in. Okay, so let's just walk up these stairs and see what can be seen from there. What we see is a couple things. One, you can see Yongsan, which literally means South Mountain, and it's a small mountain where there's a tower called Namsan Tower. See a good panorama of also. I'll take you there one day. On the left, we can zoom in. That is the new presidential office, often referred to as Yongsan, which is the name of this neighborhood. That's where President Yoon is. Here's another pagoda. So there is this park behind the museum. And it's a very nice park. Uh, many pagodas. And later on you'll see there's almost like a temple that has a very big bell. I've never heard it being rung, but there is a bell. Oh, here is the bell behind the museum. It's a nice, very traditional wall. So this magnificent bell called Boshingak was made during the King Sejong. Yes, a very famous King Sejong era in 1468. It was cast for him, but then moved for another famous king, Kwanghae. And there's a famous movie with Lee Byung-hun about Kwanghae, and the legend about him using a double, a thing that we see in many movies. And interesting notes about the bell, as we can read here, is that it was struck 33 times at 4 a.m. and 28 times at 10 p.m. each day. So if you lived near the bell at 4 a.m., well, I'm pretty sure you got woken up. Behind the bell is a stone lantern, which was commissioned by King Hyunjung and offered as a repose to pray for his deceased parents during the Goryeo dynasty. We're talking about over 1,000 years back. So even though it looked pretty modern from afar, you can see that it has a very local feel when you get up close. That does it for our short visit to the National Museum. Signing off, and see you in the next episode of Musings by Daeryun. 안녕.